Shabbat. Oh, Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. I don't know what I couldn't think. My brain froze for a second. It's kind of cool in here this morning. Maybe that's why. Shabbat. Shalom on the Sabbath day. Today, welcome to the Philadelphia Assemblies. Okay, again, we were already here once. This is part 3 of the expository teaching of 1 Kings. We're going to be starting in chapter 9 and moving forward from there. But just as we had talked and learned in part 2 about facing east towards the temple, we're going to do that. Again, today is the 26th day of the 13th month of the year 5779, moving right along towards Abib. It's also the 4th day of April 2020 on the Gregorian calendar. So let's turn towards the east where the temple was and where the temple will be, and we'll open in prayer. Almighty Father Yahuwah, again we ask that you be with those that are afraid and sick, or have loved ones that are sick. Father, give them the peace that passes understanding. They might have had someone they just lost. Whatever the case may be, Father, we ask that your peace be with them. We also ask that you would heal those sick and comfort those that are afraid. We ask that your Ruach HaKodesh would give us an extra unction of understanding as we go to your word today, Father. Let it be your words and not ours. And Father, again, bless all those that are keeping the Sabbath today and those that don't know to yet as well. We ask that in your precious Son, Yahushua's name. Amen. Okay, chapter 9 and verse 1 of 1 Kings. Chapter 9, verse 1 of 1 Kings. And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building, or the temple, he was building the house of Yahuwah, or the tabernacle or temple of Yahuwah, and the king's house, and all Solomon's wishes which he was pleased to do, or he had wanted to do. Get all that straight in just a minute. And that Yahuwah appeared to Solomon the second time. Now again, Yahuwah himself did not appear to Solomon. No one's ever seen his form or heard his voice at any time. But the Ruach HaKodesh, which is his malach or messenger, okay, is the one that spoke and appeared to Solomon. We've seen that other times. It's just that he appeared for him. He is the spirit of Yahuwah, the Ruach HaKodesh. So appeared to Solomon the second time as he had appeared unto him in Gibeon. Same way he appeared to him, through the Ruach. And Yahuwah said unto him, I have heard your prayer and your supplication, your appeal, that you has made before me. I have consecrated, I have set apart this temple, which you has built to put my name there forever, and my eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. His eyes, his heart, again, which is the Ruach, is the one that appears there. Verse 4, and if you will walk before me as David your father walked, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I've commanded you, and will keep my statutes and my judgments. Notice what he was talking about, how David, his father, had uprightness of heart and integrity. That didn't mean that David never sinned or didn't make mistakes. It just meant that he kept his commandments, statutes, and judgments to the best of his ability. And that's what he's asking of Solomon. 5, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom upon Israel forever. Now, there's going to be some breaks in it, but it's still going to be that. That's why they call our Messiah son of David, or son of David. Okay? So the throne of David will always be there, but there was some breaks in it because of Israel not keeping the covenant. Okay? Then I will establish my throne forever, as your throne, the throne of the kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David your father, saying, there shall not fail you a man upon the throne of Israel. But obviously they didn't keep all his commandments, Israel. But if you shall at all turn from following me, you or your children, or your sons, is what this is, being here, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other Elohim. That's what the word for gods here is Elohim in the Hebrew, and worship them. Then I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them. And that's exactly what happened. And this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. Now, that's exactly what happened. The temple was destroyed a couple of different times. And that's because that Israel didn't keep his commandments, and he cut them off. Verse 8. First time he sent them into exile, and then he cut them off. Okay? And at this house, which is high, every one that passes by it shall be astonished, and shall scoff, and they shall say, why hath Yahuwah done this unto this land and to this house? Why has he set it apart? And they shall answer, because they forsook Yahuwah their Elohim. That's why he cut them off. Who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other Elohim, okay, and have worshipped them and served them. Therefore hath Yahuwah brought upon them all this evil. So notice here, don't be confused. I mean, the English translators didn't translate things a certain way because of how they believed. Remember, this Bible was translated by the Catholics. Okay, that's who translated the King James Bible. They had their own reasons for doing what they did. But in Hebrew it says, and they shall answer, because they forsook Yahuwah their Elohim, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have laid a hold upon other Elohim. They translated it gods there, but up earlier they translated it God singular. Okay? So in King James it says the Lord their God. Okay? When in fact it should have been the tetragrammaton, the 4 letters, whether you pronounce it Yahuwah, Yahweh, Jehovah, but it should have been his name there, Elohim, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other Elohim, and have worshipped them and served them. Therefore hath Yahuwah brought upon them all this evil. That's why they were cut off. That's why they were cursed and driven from the land of Israel. That's why the reason is. But my point there is they translate it singular and plural as it seems fit, and the word Elohim is always plural, and it's always pertaining to mighty one. Okay? It could be mighty ones, and that's what it is talking about. Yahuwah, they're mighty ones, and that would be Yahuwah and his Ruach, his spirit, who hath brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt. That's how that happened. But they went after other Elohim. Verse 10, and it came to pass at the end of 20 years, when Solomon had built the 2 houses, the house of Yahuwah and the king's house. Okay? 11. Now Hiram the king of Tyre had finished Now Hiram the king of Tyre had finished Solomon with cedar trees, furnished him, or gave him with trees of fir, with a cedar and fir, and with gold according to all his desire, that then King Solomon gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee. And Hiram came out from Tyre to see the cities which Solomon had given him, and they pleased him not. So he was angry. He wasn't satisfied with what Solomon had given him, Hiram. Okay? And he said, what cities are these which thou hast given me, my brother? And he called them the land of Kabul, binding unto this day. And Hiram sent to the king 60 talents of gold, Verse 15. And this is the reason of the levy which King Solomon raised for to build the house of Yahuwah and his own house, and Milo, and the wall of Jerusalem, and Hazor, and Megiddo, and Gezer. For Pharaoh, king of Egypt, had gone up and taken Gezer, and burnt it with fire, and slain the Canaanites that dwelt in the city, and given it for a present unto his daughter Solomon's wife. Remember, he had said that he took Pharaoh's daughter to wife. And Solomon built Gezer. Okay, we know what Gezer is, in Egypt. And Beth-horon and the lower. Beth-horon was the lower. And Baalath, which again, Baal means master or Lord, hath, and Tadmor in the wilderness in the land, and all the cities of storage that Solomon had, and the cities for his chariots, and cities for his horsemen, and that which Solomon desired to build in Jerusalem, and in Lebanon, and in all the land of his dominion, and all the people that were left of the Amorites, Hittites, and Perizzites, Havites, and Jebusites, which were not the sons of Israel, the Ben of Israel. 21, their Ben, or their sons that were left after them in the land, whom the Ben of Israel also were not able to utterly destroy. Upon those did Solomon levy a tribute or a bondservant unto this day. So he made them into almost slaves, but definitely servants. 22, but the sons of Israel did Solomon make no bondmen. He didn't make any slaves or anything of the sons of Israel, but they were men of war, and his servants and his princes and his captains and his rulers of his chariots and his horsemen. 23, that's the jobs he gave them. These were the chief of the officers that were over Solomon's work, 550, which bear rule over the people that were doing the work. So Israel wasn't much different than what Egypt was over Israel when they were in bondage. It's basically what they're saying. They treated those people the same as they had been treated, which was not how Yahuwah had commanded them. Yahuwah said to love your neighbor because you were once strangers in the land. And so, love the stranger because you were once strangers. And obviously, Solomon didn't follow that completely correctly. But Pharaoh's daughter came up out of the city of Dawood unto her house, which Solomon had built for her. Then did he build Milo. And 3 times in a year did Solomon offer burnt offerings and peace offerings upon the altar which he built unto Yahuwah, and he burnt incense upon the altar that was before Yahuwah. So he finished the house. Now, notice this was Solomon that was burning incense on the altar, just as his father Dawood had done, or David, and only really the high priest of Israel should have been doing that. Just notice that, okay? So he finished the house, and King Solomon made a navy of ships in Ezon-Geber, that's it, Ezon-Geber, which is beside Eloth, on the shore of the Red Sea in the land of Edom, where the Edomites lived. Okay, in verse 27, and Hiram sent in the navy his servants, Hiram sent in the navy his servants, shipmen that had knowledge of the sea, with the servants of Solomon. And they came to Ophir and brought them their gold, 420 talents, and brought it to King Solomon. Chapter 10. Got something in my throat. I think it's being in this building. And when the queen of Sheba, which we know who Queen of Sheba was, okay, she was over what would be now, my brain just stopped working. I'll get it here in just Ethiopia, okay? That's who the Queen of Sheba was where she was from. And the Queen of Sheba heard of the fame or the reputation of Solomon concerning the name of Yahuwah, she came to prove him with hard questions. So she's coming there to ask him about Yahuwah. Okay, remember what we just read, what Solomon said. And she came to Jerusalem with a very great right, they got train here in the King James, but it's actually just a bunch of people that she brought with them. Entourage, that's a good word for us today. Okay, with camels that bear spices and very much gold and precious stones. And when she was come to Solomon, she communed with him of all that was in her heart, that was on her mind. Okay, verse 3. And Solomon told her answered all her questions. There was not anything hid from the king which he had not told her. And she knows she was coming to inquire about Yahuwah. Okay, so every question he had a good answer. Verse 4. And when the queen of Sheba had seen all Solomon's wisdom and the house that he had built, he's talking about the temple, and the food of his table, and the sitting of his servants, and the attendance of his ministers, and their apparel, and his cupbearers, and his ascent by which he went up into the house of Yahuwah, there was no more spirit in her. She didn't have any other spirit but to follow. And she said to the king, it was a true report that I heard in my own land of the acts and of your wisdom. However, I believed not the words until I came and my eyes had seen it, and behold, the half was not told me. Your wisdom and your prosperity exceedeth the fame which I heard. Happy are your men, happy are these your servants, which stand continually before you, and that hear your wisdom. Blessed be Yahuwah your Elohim, which delights in you, to set you on the throne of Israel, because Yahuwah loved Israel forever. Therefore made he you king to do judgment and justice. And she gave the king 120 talents of gold, and of spices very great store, a very large amount, and precious stones. There came no more such abundance of spices as these which the queen of Sheba gave to King Solomon. And the navy also of Hiram that brought gold from Ophir, brought in from Ophir great or very many almug trees and precious stones. And the king made the almug trees pillars of the house of Yahuwah, so foundation. And for the king's house, harps, also psalteries for singers. There came no such almug trees, nor were seen unto this day. There was no other ones equal to those, nor have been seen to the day this book was written. And King Solomon gave unto the queen of Sheba all her desire, everything she wanted, whatsoever she asked, besides that which Solomon gave her of his royal bounty. So she turned and went to her own country, she and her servants. Now the weight of the gold that came to Solomon in 1 year was 660, which is 666 talents of gold. Besides that, he had of the merchantmen, and of the traffic of the spice merchants, and of all the kings of Arabia, and of the governors of the country. And King Solomon made 200 large shields of beaten gold. 600 shekels of gold went to one target. And he made 300 shields of beaten gold. 3 pounds of gold went to one shield, and the king put them in the house of the forest of Lebanon. Moreover, the king made a great throne of ivory, and overlaid it with the best of gold. The throne had 6 steps, and the top of the throne was round behind, and there was stays on either side on the place of the seat, and the 2 lions stood beside the arms. It's those stays he's talking about, their arms. And 12 lions stood there on the one side, and on the other upon the 6 steps. There was not there was none equal in any other kingdom. 21. And all King Solomon's drinking vessels were gold, and all the vessels of the house of the forest of Lebanon were of pure gold. None were of silver. It was not valuable enough in those days, in the days of Solomon. For the king had a navy of Tarshish, which the navy of Hiram once in 3 years came the navy of Tarshish, bringing gold and silver, ivory and apes and peacocks. So King Solomon exceeded all the kings of the earth for riches, for wit, and for wisdom. And all the earth consulted Solomon to hear his wisdom, which Elohim had put into his heart. And they brought every man his present, vessels of silver, vessels of gold, and garments, and armor, and spices, horses, and mules, a rate year by year. And Solomon gathered together chariots and horsemen, and he had 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horsemen, whom stationed in the cities for chariots, and with the king at Jerusalem. 27. And the king made silver to be in Jerusalem as stones, and cedars made he to be as sycamore trees that are in the valley or in the lowlands, for abundance. And Solomon had horses brought out of Egypt, and linen yarn. The king's merchants received the linen yarn at a price, and the chariot came up and went out of Egypt went up and came out of Egypt for 600 shekels of silver, and a horse for 150. And so for all the kings of the Hittites and for the kings of Syria did they bring them out by their expense. So in other words, they paid them to bring them out. Chapter 11. But King Solomon loved many foreign women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Amorites, Edomites, Zidonians, not ites, and Hittites, of the nations, concerning which Yahuwah said unto the men of Israel, Ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their Elohim. Okay? So we could see right here that at this point he wasn't doing perfectly at his heart, because he knew that Yahuwah had commanded not to do this, and he did it anyway. Okay? So as wise as he wasn't wise enough in this area. And these women did just this to him. You will see that as we read. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart from what? Yahuwah. Okay? For it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other Elohim, and his heart was not perfect, okay, or fully devoted to Yahuwah his Elohim, as was the heart of David his father. Okay? No doubt. This is what the book says. This is the case. Okay? Don't have to judge it any further than that, but it says what it says. Verse 5. For Solomon went or followed after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians. You can study that, in encyclopedias and whatever you want, but these are pagan deities. And after Milcom, the abomination of the Amorites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of Yahuwah, and went not fully after Yahuwah as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, in the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Moloch, the abomination of the Ben of Ammon. So he went after all these other gods because of these women that he ended up marrying and concubines. And likewise did he for all his foreign wives, strange or foreign wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their Elohim. This word gods should have always been translated Elohim. Just like if you're going to be equal with that, if you're going to translate, Yahuwah, your Elohim, you should have been translated that way as well. It is what it is. It means gods. Okay? 9. Thank you. And Yahuwah was angry with Solomon because his heart was turned from Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. Now, he appeared to him through the Ruach HaKodesh, not his self. Verse 10. And he had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other Elohim, but he kept not that which Yahuwah commanded. Verse 11, therefore Yahuwah said unto Solomon, forasmuch as this is done of you, and you has not kept my covenant and my statutes which I commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom from you and will give it to your servant, just as he did from Saul. Okay, he tore the kingdom from Saul and gave it unto David. Okay, notwithstanding in your days, I will not do it for David your father's sake. In other words, as long as you live, I'm not going to do it, but after you die, I'm going to. But I will tear it out of the hand of your son. However, I will not tear away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to your son for David, my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen, would be Yehuda or the tribe of Judah. The other tribes is going to be tore away from him. They're going to go with Ephraim. Okay, after this point, we're going to read all this as we go. That's what Yahuwah is telling him. Verse 14. And Yahuwah stirred up an adversary unto Solomon, Hadad, the Edomite. He was the king's descendant in Edom. For it came to pass when David was in Edom, and Joab, the captain of the host, was gone up to bury the slain after he had smitten every male in Edom. 16. This is added, verse 16, but for clarification. For 6 months did Joab remain there with all Israel until he had cut off every male in Edom. Okay. Verse 17. That Hadad fled, and certain Edomites of his father's servants with him to go into Egypt, Hadad being yet a child, and they arose out of Midian and came to Paran, and they took men with them out of Paran, and they came to Egypt unto Pharaoh, king of Egypt, which gave him a house and appointed him food, or assigned him food and gave him land. And Hadad found great favor in the sight of Pharaoh, so that he gave him in marriage the sister of his own wife, the sister of Tahpenes the queen. 20. And the sister of Tahpenes bare him Genubath his son, or his ben, whom Tahpenes weaned in Pharaoh's house, and Genubath was in Pharaoh's household among the ben of Pharaoh. And when Hadad heard in Egypt that David slept with his fathers, and that, in other words, that he had died, and that Joab, the captain of the host, was dead, Hadad said to Pharaoh, let me depart, that I may go to my own country. And Pharaoh said unto him, but what has you lacked with me, that behold, that you seekest to go to thine own country, to your own country? And he answered, nothing. However, let me go anyway, or in any case. Okay. And Elohim stirred him up another adversary, Solomon, another adversary. Rezon, the ben, or son of Elidah, which fled from his master Hadazer, king of Zobah. 24, verse 24. And he gathered men unto him, and became captain over a band, or an army, when David slew them of Zobah. And they went to Damascus, and dwelt therein, and remained and reigned or ruled in Damascus. Verse 25, and he was an adversary to Israel all the days of Solomon. Besides, he's evil, adversary, besides mischief that Hadad did, or the evil that Hadad did. And he hated Israel and reigned over Syria. Got it. And Jeroboam, which we're going to learn much about as we go in here, and Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite, or an Ephraimite, either one. This is the one's going to end up where the split comes in after Solomon dies, of Zeradah, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zerah, a widow woman. Even he rebelled against the king. And this was the cause that he closed up his hand against King Solomon, and built Milo, and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor, and Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the labor force of the house of Joseph. Okay, 29. And it came to pass at that time, when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem, that the prophet Elijah, the Shulonite, found him in the way, and he dressed himself with a new garment, and the two of them, were alone in the field. And Ahijah, I said Elijah a while ago, it's Ahijah, or Ahiah, that's it, caught the new garment that was on him, and tore it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take you 10 pieces, for thus saith Yahuwah, Elohim of Israel, behold, I will tear the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon, and will give 10 tribes to you, Jeroboam. This is prophetic here. Speaking to him directly is the Ruach. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, and the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel. So this was Jeroboam here, and there was Rehoboam, which was Solomon's son, which we will talk about more as we get to that, okay? But that's who's going to get the tribe of Yehuda, and also some of the tribe of Levi, and those ones will be mixed in with them. But that'll go to Rehoboam, and the other tribes are going to end up with Jeroboam, okay? So, verse 33, because that they have forsaken me, and have worshipped Ashtaroth, this is the reason why he's going to give these tribes to Jeroboam, the goddess of the Zidonians, Shemash, the Elohim of the Moabites, and Milcom, the Elohim of the sons of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways, to do that which is right in my eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as David his father did. Okay? However, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life, for David my servant's sake, whom I chose, because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his Ben's hand. Okay, and that again is who I told you, that was Rehoboam. Okay, that will be Rehoboam that he's talking about here. But I will take the kingdom out of his Ben's hand, and will give it unto you, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light, or have a lamp, always for me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. Okay? And I will take you, and you shall reign according to all that your soul, or you that all that you delight or desires, and shall be king over Israel. And it shall be, if you will listen unto all that I command you, and will walk in my ways, and do that is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with you, and build you an enduring family or descendants, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto you. Okay, but he's not going to fully trust in him either, so that's not going to happen exactly like that, because he's going to end up having a feast like unto the Feast of Tabernacles a month late, okay, because he didn't trust Yahuwah to do what he said, and he didn't go up to Jerusalem to keep the feast, and he lost this promise, okay. And I will for this humble descendant of David be not forever. Solomon. 40. For Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt, unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon. And the rest of the acts of Solomon, and all that he did, and his wisdom, are they not written in the book of the Acts of Solomon? Since we don't always have that right at our fingertips, some of us may or may not know that, but we know the book of Ecclesiastes. We know that there's several books of Solomon that are also in the apocryphal books that are also included in this, what he's talking about. Are they not written? Yes, they are. 42. And the time that Solomon reigned in Jerusalem over all Israel was 40 years, and Solomon slept with his fathers and was buried in the city of David, his father. And Rehoboam, that I had already mentioned, his son, reigned in his stead. Okay, we're going to continue. Chapter 12. And Rehoboam went to Shechem, for all Israel were come to Shechem to make him king. And it came to pass, when Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who was yet in Egypt, heard of it, for he was fled from the presence of King Solomon, and Jeroboam dwelt in Egypt, that they sent and called him. And Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came and spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Your father made our yoke grievous. In other words, he put a heavy burden on them. Okay? Now therefore make you the grievous service of your father, and his heavy yoke, which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve you. In other words, talking to Rehoboam here, and they're saying, you'll take care of us better than your father did, and we'll serve you. But if not, we're not going to. Verse 5. And he said unto them, Depart ye for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said, How do you advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, If you will be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them, and answer them, and speak good words to them, then they will be your servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men, which they had given him, and consulted with the young men, which a lot of young men will do. Okay, they got their buddies that they like to consult with, that were grown up with him, which stood before him. And he said unto them, What advice do you give you, that we may answer this people, who have spoken to me, saying, Make the yoke which your father put upon us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, Thus shall you speak unto this people, and speak unto you, saying, Your father made our yoke heavy, but make you it lighter unto us. Thus shall you say unto them, My little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins. And now, whereas my father did lay on you with this heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father hath chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Now, that was a wise answer, wasn't it? When they told him they'd follow him if he just made that yoke a little lighter. but men do what they do. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, Come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, My father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king listened not unto the people. And that's what happens all the time. That's where rebellions come in. For the cause was from Yahuwah, that he might perform his saying, which Yahuwah spake by Ahiah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when Israel saw that the king listened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, What portion have we with David? In other words, we don't got anything to stay here with David. We're going to go with Jeroboam. Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse, which is David's father. To your tents, O Israel, now see to your own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as the sons of Israel which dwelt in the cities of Yehuda, Rehoboam reigned over them. Okay, or Judah. Then King Rehoboam sent up Adoram, who was over the forced labor, and all Israel stoned him with stones that he died. Therefore King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So he got the heck out of there. With just his life. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day, until the book was written. And it came to pass, when all Israel had heard that Jeroboam was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation, and made him king over all Israel, 11 other tribes. There was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Yehuda only. But there was some Levites there in the house. You'll see that later. And when Rehoboam was come to Jerusalem, he assembled all the house of Yehuda and the tribe of Benjamin, and 180,000 chosen men, which were warriors. So also of the tribe of Benjamin, okay, to fight against the house of Israel, to bring the kingdom again to Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, or the Ben of Solomon. But the word of Elohim, here it is again, but the word of Elohim came unto Shemaiah, a man of Elohim, saying, so the Ruach HaKodesh came and spoke unto Rehoboam. He spoke and said, Speak unto Rehoboam, the Ben of Solomon, king of Yehuda, and unto all the house of Yehuda and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, You shall not go up nor fight against your brethren, the Ben of Israel. Return every man to his house, for this is from me, the rebellion, the splitting of the kingdoms. They listened, therefore, to the word of Elohim, of Yahuwah. The word of Yahuwah, again, is the Ruach HaKodesh, and returned to depart according to the word of Yahuwah. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from there, and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of Yahuwah in Jerusalem, in other words, the house that Solomon built, the temple, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their master, even unto Rehoboam, king of Yehuda, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam, king of Yehuda. So he didn't trust Yahuwah to keep the promise that he made to him. Okay? Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold. And even back when Aaron made calves, if you look in the Hebrew, you'll see they made 2 calves. And the reason why they made those two is to represent the Father and the Ruach HaKodesh. That's what this is all about. They're representative of those Elohim. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold. So they stayed there and worshipped Elohim. That's what that's about. And said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold your Elohim. They got little g here, but they were talking about behold your Elohim. Okay? O Israel, which brought you, these are the 2 Elohim that brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Okay? They were representative of the Ruach HaKodesh, okay, or the Holy Spirit, and Yahuwah, the Father. Okay, that's what he was doing. They were building things they could see, and he said, here are your Elohim. These are the Elohim that brought you up out of the land of Egypt. Not that they were the very Elohim, but they were representative. They made something they could see, put their hands on. 29, and he set one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan. And this thing became a sin for the people that went up to worship before the one, even unto Dan, both of them. Verse 31, and he made a house or a temple or a shrine of high place and made priests of the lowest of the people. They were the tribe of Levi, but they weren't the sons of Aaron. They weren't after the Zodokite priesthood that I've been talking about, okay? So he made it of the lowest of the people, which were not of the bin of Levi. Okay, also they weren't, I take it back, they weren't even the sons of Levi. They weren't just not the sons of Aaron. They were from the lowest of the people. Okay, because it says right here, which were not of the bin or sons of Israel, of Levi. They were of Israel, but they weren't Levi. Verse 32, and Jeroboam instituted a feast in the 8th month instead of the 7th month, instead of Feast of Sukkot or Tabernacles. On the 15th day of the month, like the feast that is in Yehuda, and he offered upon the altar, so did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves, those 2 Elohim that they had made, that he had made, and he placed in Bethel the priest of the high places, which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel on the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the spin of Israel, and offered upon the altar and burnt incense. Now, this is such a great sin against Yahuwah. This gets over and over and repeated with every king, except for they did after the sin of Jeroboam. Okay? And Jeroboam made this feast like unto the Feast of Tabernacles, and they were keeping this feast. Okay? This is a grave feast. This ends up cutting him off, getting the whole tribes of Israel, except for Yehuda and Benjamin and Levi, being cut off from Elohim altogether. Okay? Verse 13. And chapter 13. And behold, there came a man of Elohim out of Yehuda by the word of Yahuwah. It came out because of the Ruach HaKodesh unto Bethel, and Jeroboam stood by the altar to burn incense. And he cried against the altar in the word of Yahuwah. In other words, the Ruach brought him the message. Now he's going to bring the message here. And said, O altar, thus saith Yahuwah, because Yahuwah had already came to him through the Ruach. Behold, a child shall be born unto the house of David, Josiah by name, and upon you shall he offer the priests of the high places that burnt incense upon you, and the men's bones shall be burnt upon you. Okay, so there's going to be a big come up and coming here for this. And he gave a sign the same day, saying, this is the sign which Yahuwah has spoken. Behold, the altar shall be torn, and the ashes that are upon it shall be poured out. And it came to pass, when King Jeroboam heard the saying of the man of Elohim, which had cried against the altar in Bethel, that he put forth his hand from the altar, saying, Lay hold of him. And his hand which he put forth against him dried up, so that he could not pull it again to himself, back to himself. His hand shriveled up. 5. The altar also was torn, and the ashes poured out from the altar, according to the sign which the man of Elohim had given by the word of Yahuwah, which was the Ruach HaKodesh. The Holy Spirit is what brought him the message. That's what it said earlier, and that's what it repeats. Verse 6. And the king answered and said unto the man of Elohim, Entreat now the face of Yahuwah your Elohim, and pray for me, that my hand may be restored me again. And the man of Elohim besought Yahuwah, and the king's hand was restored him again, and became as it was before. And the king said unto the man of Elohim, Come home with me, and refresh yourself, and I will give you a reward. And the man of Elohim said unto the king, If you will give me half your house, I will not go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so was it charged, or was it commanded me by the word of Yahuwah, which is again is the Ruach HaKodesh. That's who ordered him, the Holy Spirit, saying, Eat no bread, nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that you came in. So he went another way, and returned not by the way that he came to Bethel. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his Ben came and told him all the works that the man of Elohim had done that day in Bethel. The words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to their father. And their father said unto them, What way went he? For his Ben had seen what way the man of Elohim went, which came from Yehuda. And he said unto his Ben, Saddle me a donkey. So they saddled him a donkey, and he rode thereon, and went after the man of Elohim, found him sitting under an oak, and he said unto him, Are you the man of Elohim that camest from Yehuda? And he said, I am. Then he said unto him, Come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with you, nor go in with you, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with you in this place. For it was said to me by the word of Yahuwah, that is again the Ruach HaKodesh, You shall eat no bread nor drink water there, nor turn again to go the way that you came. He said unto him, I am a prophet also, as you are, and the Malach spoke unto me, or an angel, this is correct, an angel spake unto me by the word of Yahuwah, saying, Bring him back with you into your house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. So this guy said he was a prophet, and that this guy told him, and it was a lie. Okay? So he went back with him, and did eat and drink in his house, and drank water. And it came to pass, as they sat at the table, that the word of Yahuwah came unto the prophet that brought him back. And he cried unto the man of Elohim that came from Yehuda, saying, Thus saith Yahuwah, Forasmuch as you has disobeyed the mouth of Yahuwah, and has not kept the commandment which Yahuwah your Elohim commanded you, but camest back and has eaten bread and drank water in the place of the which Yahuwah did say to eat. So you eat no bread and drink no water, your carcass shall not come into the sepulchre of your fathers. So this guy got tricked, but that's where you don't listen to man. If Yahuwah came to you through the Ruach, the Holy Spirit told you to do something, you better do it like he told you, and not have somebody come to you and, well, Yahuwah told me this through this other messenger, Malach. Okay? Anytime it says angel, remember that word is Malach, messenger. Doesn't have to be an angel from heaven. Verse 23, And it came to pass after he had eaten bread and after he had drank that he saddled for him the donkey, that is, for the prophet whom he had brought back. And when he was gone, a lion met him by the way, and slew him, and his carcass was cast in the way. And the donkey stood by it, the lion also stood by the carcass. And behold, men passed by, and saw the carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass. And they came and told it in the city where the old prophet dwelt. And when the prophet that brought him back from the way heard thereof, he said, It is the man of Elohim, who was disobedient unto the word of Yahuwah, which is the Ruach. Therefore Yahuwah had delivered him unto the lion, which had torn him and slain him according to the word of Yahuwah, which he spake unto him. And he spake to his Ben, his son, saying, Saddle me the donkey. And they saddled him a donkey. And he went and found his carcass cast in the way, and the lion standing by the carcass. The lion had not eaten the carcass, nor torn the donkey. And the prophet took up the carcass of the man of Elohim, and laid it upon the donkey, and brought it back. And the old prophet came to the city to mourn and to bury him. And he laid his carcass in his own grave, and they mourned over him, saying, Alas, my brother. And it came to pass, after he had buried him, that he spake to his Ben, or his sons, saying, When I am dead, then bury me in the tomb wherein the man of Elohim is buried. Lay my bone beside his bones. For the saying which he cried, or declared, by the word of Yahuwah against the altar in Bethel, and against all the houses of the high places which are in the cities of Samaria, shall surely come to pass. After this thing, Jeroboam turned not from his evil ways, but made again the lowest of the people, okay, all from the people of Israel, but not from the tribe of Judah, of the people priest of the high places, whosoever would he consider him, consecrate him, and he became one of the priests of the high places. And this thing became the sin unto the house of Jeroboam, the family, his descendants, even to cut it off and to destroy it off the face of the earth. Another page here I got to turn. Sometimes these are tough. And that's it. We're going to stop right there. I didn't realize I was right at the beginning of chapter 14 there. So, again, may Yahuwah bless until we meet again. Got any comments, concerns, questions? Contact us at Philadelphia Assemblies, plural, at gmail.com. And if you're watching us on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Okay? Hit that subscribe button. Okay. May Yahuwah bless.